Hey BookTube, this is the Audiobook Tag. I'm Jen and I talk about audiobooks. Today I get to talk about them in a tag. This is not the first audiobook tag that has existed, but I could only find one other one, and I will go ahead and link it below. This is kind of a revised version of that, kind of Audiobook Tag 2.0. Sol Moreau, who is a friend of mine both on Twitter and on YouTube, and Goodreads actually, she tweeted me and said, hey, have you ever thought about doing an audiobook tag? I would love to do that with you. And I said, yes. So she came up with, I don't know, 10, 12 questions. And then I came up with some and we put them together, picked the best ones. And so this is the tag. So I have 10 questions here. And although these deal with audiobooks, I have a huge stack of books here. Just so you know, I'm going to show you the book, even though I have listened to the book. Okay, let's just jump right in. Number one, name a book that was better on audio. Well, first one that came to mind was The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. This is book one in the Chaos Walking series. There are two more books, The Ask and the Answer, and then The Monsters of Men. A lot of people have said, oh, I didn't like that book. And I think that's because you didn't listen to it on audios. I have some other ones, you know, I can never just give you one answer to a question. So I will continue with The Wolves of Mercy Falls series by Maggie Stiefvater. This first book, I only grabbed the first book of many of these series, but this is Shiver, Linger, and Forever. And it's one of her lesser known series. I loved this book, and I think it was because of the narration, because there are a lot of people that haven't really liked this series. It didn't grab them. It grabbed me. Books are better on audio a lot of times when they are a memoir and the authors narrate it. And that was true in the case of Magnolia, The Magnolia Story by Chip and Joanna Gaines. My husband got me this for Christmas. I thought, well, of course I'm going to want to listen to it, which was great because they narrate it. Question two, name a book that was worse on audio than in print, and you switched to the print. Well, this hinges on the narrator for me, and that's all about personal preference. What pleases your ear, what doesn't please your ear, what kind of enunciation and intonations that you like, and so, you know, it's personal preference. So here are some of the ones that I did not prefer. I'll start off with the Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and this, along with several other series, are narrated by Justine Eyre, and she has a style that I cannot stand. She has a little bit of a whine to her voice, and so with these books, I listened to the first one, and then I quickly switched to the ebooks, and then later on I got the print book. But anyway, Justine Eyre. Anything narrated by Elizabeth Louise and Sebastian York, and Confess by Colleen Hoover is a prime example of that. I didn't like this book very much, but you know what? I have a feeling that it wasn't the story that bugged me. I think it was the narrators that bugged me. A lot of Abby Glines books are narrated by them. A lot of just books in general. They're very popular within the romance writing community, particularly new adult. And so, no. If I see those two narrators, I'm going to the print. And actually, I probably should reread this just so I can see that it's a better book than what I thought. Amy Rubinate, I do not enjoy. She's kind of like Justine Eyre in that I just don't like the way she says words. And so Everneath by Brody Ashton. This is a trilogy that I did listen to and I liked okay, but again, Amy Rubinate. And my last one is Passenger by Alex Bracken, and it's Saskia Marleveld, and I did a review on this just as to why I didn't like it, and I put some clips in of her narration, and just didn't work for me. She had all the wrong voices for some of the characters, and nope. You know, I just finished the Unwind series too by Neil Shusterman, and Luke Daniels narrates that, and I didn't like that either. I like him as a narrator, but I just didn't like those books. I didn't like the voices he gave to some of the characters because they sounded like caricatures, you know? They were just so over the top that I just didn't like it. So let's move on. Question three, top female narrator and top male narrator. My top male narrators would probably be a tie between McLeod Andrews and Zachary Weber. with Dan Bittner coming in a very close second because I really like him too. And then my top female narrators are Jenna Lamia, Kate Rudd, Therese Plummer, and Jennifer Ikeda. All of them are very talented voice actors, and I think there is a line to be drawn between voice acting and narration. Narration is reading with expression. Voice acting is approaching it like a script, and so you become the various characters, and I really like that. With that in mind, McLeod Andrews is a master. Question 4, what's the longest book that you've ever listened to? Had to look this one up because I read a lot of long books, but the longest turned out to be A Breath of Snow and Ashes by Diana Gabaldon. This one is 53 hours long, I think. It's a fat book. I mean, it's a big book. Page-wise, this is 980 pages, so it's not surprising that it would be that long. It's narrated by Davina Porter, and it is exceptionally good. I loved it. It's the continuing story of Jamie and Claire from the Outlander series. Question 5, what is the shortest book you've ever read? Well, I really don't know, but I have read several novellas, and most recently I was asked to review a series of books which are more like episodic like web episodes, but they were narrated, and those were The Roche Hotel. They are by Misty Parker, and they were narrated by Angie Hickman, and they were so cute. Those were all about an hour and some minutes long. Question 6, how do you listen to your audiobooks? iPod, MP3 player, phone? What kind of earbuds do you like? Well, I have 2 old iPhone 4S's, and one I use as my it's upside down, my non-romance iPod. I put things like fantasy, sci-fi, even literary fiction at times I put on this iPod, and this I put romance, so that I'm able to distinguish between the two. Each one will hold about 25 to 30 books at a time, depending on the length of the book. Sometimes it's 20 to 25. I do also have an iPod Shuffle, and this is waterproof, and I use it when I swim laps in the pool. Now I have this gold one because when I was doing another, I think it was a Friday Reads video, I had this one, which I sat down on the arm of that big chair that I like so much, and it slid down in there and I couldn't find it, so I had to order a new one because I didn't have it anymore, so now I have 2. That's a great little thing. It comes in this little case, and I really like these. I'll leave a link where you can find them in the description box. When it comes to earbuds, I like Skull Candy. I think that that's a very good low-end earbud. So I have these, and I have these. These are the Bluetooth earbuds that my daughter got me for Christmas this year. When I go to sleep at night, I use a different pair, and these are by iFruze. Here's the reason I do. I like the shape of these, and you can tell the difference. These fit flat into my ear, whereas these don't. So I have a couple of pairs of these. So those are the earbuds that I use. Question 7, should authors narrate their own books? It depends on the author, to be honest. The benefit there for an author narrating their own book is the fact that they know the way they want it to sound, and so they can make it sound that way. The downside of that is that authors are not voice actors, and so they cannot usually bring a book to life in the way that a voice actor can. And I'm talking about fiction here. When I talk about nonfiction, like memoirs, absolutely. All kinds of people have narrated their own memoirs, and they might be reading it, but still, it's their voice about their life. So it's like they're talking to you. It is possible for an author to do a great job of narrating their own book. And there was one time that I listened to a book where I found that this was the case. I was really surprised, but it was Adam Gidwitz who wrote The Inquisitor's Tale, which is a middle grade book. I was really surprised that he did as well as he did with this book. I also listened to Exit West by Mohsin Hamid recently, and he narrated the book, and I think that he did a great job, but at the same time, it had a tone to it that it might not have had if another person had narrated it. Number 8, is there an audiobook you wish could be redone? By what narrator? In proportion to the ones that I've loved, probably a very small amount, but it just seems like a lot. And this has to do with personal preference again for my narrators. So I have a stack here. Six of Crows is done by a full cast, and I like the women narrators in this book. One is Lauren Fortgang, and I forget who does the other one. But I like those two, and I like maybe one of the guys, but the rest of them were awful. I thought, just terrible. I didn't like the way that they did it. I just didn't like it. I love the Lucky Harbor series by Jill Shalvis, but probably 9 out of the 12 I think are terrible when it comes to narration. I have the whole series in paperback, and this in particular is one that I really liked, and it was narrated by someone whose name I forget. I'll put it here on the screen. But generally speaking, they're awful. Passenger and Wayfarer by Alexandra Bracken. It's done by Saskia Marleveld, and I've already talked about how I don't like that one. I think that would be better done by maybe Amy McFadden. Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Nouvelle. I just picked up the sequel to that, which is called Waking Gods, and it's done by a full cast. And once again, I liked about 3 of the narrators, and I hated the rest of them. There were probably 4 more. Same thing again, I don't like them. I'm going to pick it up in print because I think that the characterizations are all wrong and the phrasing is wrong, and better for me to go pick it up in print. And also the first 12 books of the, I think it's probably 16 books now or 17, of the books by Marie Force. They are the McCarthys of Gansett Island. She has a narrator that is just horrible. I don't think I am alone in thinking that. She's terrible. And I wish those books could be redone, probably by Exie Sands. I think she would be great at these books. Now, she has a very distinct style. Tanya Eby is another great romance narrator that would do really well with these. Even Kate Rudd. Number 9, best audiobook you've listened to or your favorite. Oh, seriously? Seriously, I can't believe I even put this question in here. I will tell you, I pulled out a couple. The Pillars of Reality series by Jack Campbell is fantastic. I like the series. I like McLeod Andrews' narration of the series. I think that colors my view of the whole series, and I rave. You've heard me rave about that book, that series. And also Zachary Weber's narration of the Iron Chronicles. This is book 1, The Scribe, and this is by Elizabeth Hunter, and I love this series probably because of Zachary Weber. Number 10, what is the most recent book you listened to? Well, currently I'm listening to Rook by Sharon Cameron. It is narrated by Caroline Faraday, and I like it. I like it a lot so far. And lastly, my bonus question. What's a book currently not on audio that you wish was? There are a lot of them, but the one that came to mind right off the bat was Avalon and Polaris. These are by Mindy Arnett, and I think Dan Bittner would make these amazing. I think he would make them amazing. So that is the audiobook tag. I am going to tag these people. Sara at Novel Expectations, because she listens to a lot of audiobook romance like me. Weibke at One Book One Review, who listens to all kinds of books, but she is a pretty regular audiobook listener. Chris and Giselle at The Reading Roads, because they also listen to audiobooks a lot. Giselle probably more than Chris, although I don't know, these days, maybe Chris too. Trina at Between Chapters. She has started an audiobook series, and then also Tara at Terabyte, because I know she listens on a regular basis. And then, of course, I have to tag Mikayla because I talk to Mikayla every day. And so that's it for now from me. I will see you next time. Happy listening. Thanks for watching.